Because we live in a world saturated by media produced independently by everyday people, being able to critically analyze what we watch and hear and engage in meaningful dialogue about that media is an important skill to develop in the 21st century. In this short video, we will review the R.I.S.E model for providing meaningful feedback developed by R.I.S.E at Full Sail University. The R.I.S.E model is a framework for structuring your comments that helps create a dialogue between media producer and media consumer in which both parties can learn from each other and elevate everyone's skill level and knowledge. R.I.S.E stands for Reflect, Inquire, Suggest, and Elevate. In this class, you must include all 4 parts of the R.I.S.E model in your comments for a peer review to be considered complete. So let's take a look at what each part means. Step 1 is to reflect. This means to recall, ponder, and communicate what you saw or heard. Some examples could be the following. I relate, concur, or disagree with X because of Y. Or, I like what you did with X because of X, Y, and Z. The word because is the key term here. It doesn't just work to say I liked it or it was good. Ultimately, these are meaningless statements because the content producer hasn't learned specifically what they did to make you like it, and you as the viewer haven't learned what it was you liked about it either. So remember to use because and elaborate. Step 2 is inquire. This means to seek information and/or provide ideas through questioning. For example, have you considered looking at X from Y perspective? Or, when you said X, am I understanding you to mean XY? Inquiry lets the content producer know that you are paying close enough attention to their work, that something didn't quite sit right, or you are curious to learn more. Step 3 is suggest. This means to introduce ideas for improvement of the current iteration of the project. For example, you might say, you might consider tweaking X for Y effect, or you might want to include supporting information from X resource. Here's a link. Remember, this is only a suggestion about tweaking what they have already created. Finally, you can elevate, or provide a suggestion to raise their work to a higher degree or purpose in future iterations. For example, perhaps you can expand this in X capacity to further address Y. Or perhaps you can repurpose X as Y for Z. Here's an example of how it might work. I have been asked to provide feedback on Mrs. R.I.S.'s profile video. I navigate to her profile, copy her URL link and hit Ctrl or Command T to open a new tab, then Ctrl or Command V to paste it into a new tab and watch the video.
Hola, clase. Bienvenidos.
Now that I have watched the video, I'm going to send her a new message and use the R.I.S.E model to provide feedback. I start by reflecting. Mrs. R.I.S., I noticed that your video was in Spanish. I thought this was a good choice because this is what you teach and is likely how you would talk to your real class in real life. Then I inquire. I noticed the background you chose was a kitchen. Is your real classroom a kitchen too? Then I provide a suggestion based on what she has already created. For example, perhaps you could have added a waving animation to your character when she says, Hola, clase. Finally, I provide a suggestion to elevate the product to a new level. For example, I didn't hear any information about your teaching background. Perhaps in the future you could add this in to let your students know more about your qualifications. That's all there is to it. Reflect, inquire, suggest, and elevate. And remember, your feedback will not receive full credit unless it includes all 4 sections. Now it's your turn to try it out.